Hello and welcome to Unacademy. India has avenged the Pahalgam terror attack and justice has been served to the victims of this horrific tragedy. Just a couple of hours ago, the Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor to avenge the Pahalgam terror attack and to re-establish a strong deterrent against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. In fact, the events are unfolding so quickly that I am still catching up on the developments reading the upcoming reports as I record this video for you. In this short and quick video, let's understand the key details regarding India's retaliation, its significance, and what to expect from Pakistan in the next 24 to 48 hours. Around 1:45 a.m. today, we started seeing chatter on social media regarding massive explosions in PoK at several locations in Pakistan as well. Minutes later, the Indian Army and Defense Ministry confirmed the launch of Operation Sindoor. According to initial reports, India has hit 9 high-value terror targets. The operation has been aptly codenamed Sindoor in honor of those women who were widowed during the Pahalgam attack as Pakistan-sponsored terrorists brutally slaughtered their husbands right in front of them. In a way, justice has been served. Later today, the Defense Ministry has announced a press briefing which will shed more light on the details of the operation. But based on initial reports and from what I could gather through open source intelligence forums, let's discuss the key details. First, let's understand which targets were chosen by India. Just as we predicted exactly in our recent podcast, the very same targets have been hit, most likely using the exact same military options that we discussed last week. India has hit terrorist infrastructure not only in Pakistan but also in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed repeatedly. Altogether, 9 sites have been attacked. The most important hits were at Muridke, the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba. This is critical because the Pahalgam attack was initially claimed by the TRF, the Resistance Front, which is a shadow front and a proxy of the Lashkar-e-Toiba. The second big hit is at Bahawalpur in the Punjab province, which is considered to be the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed. The target at Bahawalpur appears to be an infamous religious seminary associated with Jaish-e-Mohammed that served as a hotspot for its recruitment. Other targets include terror camps and terrorist infrastructure in Muzaffarabad and Kotli in PoK, from where several cross-border terror attacks have been planned and executed against India. A few other targets in Pakistan also have been hit, which are known to host terrorist infrastructure. Based on videos that are circulating on social media and as well as eyewitness accounts which have been reported in the media, it appears that India has chosen to deploy standoff weapons for this mission without having to cross into Pakistani territory or airspace. The explosion at Bahawalpur is consistent with a missile strike, most likely the BrahMos, one of the fastest and most accurate cruise missiles in the world. The perfect weapon of choice for India for such a precision surgical strike, considering that Pakistani air defense would no longer be able to intercept the BrahMos. Reports from PoK indicate possible airstrikes using fighter jets, which may have launched standoff air-to-surface missiles from the Indian side without having to cross over into Pakistani airspace. India has made it very clear that these actions have been focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature. Because India doesn't want a further escalation. We want to send the message across to Pakistani state very clearly that India is not looking for further attacks. India has ensured carefully that no Pakistani military targets were hit or civilian targets were hit. India has actually demonstrated considerable restraint in selection of targets and as well as the method of execution. This, I think, also explains why civil defense drills were slated to be held today on the 7th of May, possibly to prepare the Indian population in the border areas for any possible Pakistani retaliation which might happen today or tomorrow. So let's examine what will Pakistan do right now. Obviously, Pakistan will treat this as an act of war. The Pakistani leadership, headed by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, has already called for a national security meeting today at 10 a.m. to decide the future response. Most likely in the next 24 to 48 hours, Pakistan will respond and retaliate, at least symbolically. But again, there is an escalation matrix between India and Pakistan. Now that India has drawn first blood, Pakistan would like to retaliate against India in a very strong manner. And as both sides start climbing the escalation ladder, you never know where the conflict might reach. And also, this may not be a one-off strike from India. Now, if you remember the Uri attack and the Pulwama attacks, India had carried out one-off strikes, the surgical strikes and the Balkot air strikes. But of course, a one-off strike such as the surgical strike and Balkot air strike was not a deterrent. It did not prevent future attacks such as the Pahalgam attack. So most likely, India would be looking at a more holistic and comprehensive response to sustain the military action, which could possibly include some sort of a naval blockade and possible strikes on further terror camps, including covert operations aimed at the terror leadership, which is sheltered in Pakistan. So we need to wait and watch as to how the escalation would happen. Most likely, Pakistan is going to retaliate in some form or the other. We saw this even during the Balkot airstrikes, following which Pakistan did retaliate and breach Indian airspace. So Pakistan would be definitely bracing for this impact. We have already seen reports that Pakistan had mobilized all its armed forces to the front lines. So we can expect some form of retaliation, but would it escalate is the big question. That's why India has clearly sent out a message. Immediate statements were issued through official channels that this is a measured, focused and non-escalatory response from India, which means we don't seek further escalation if Pakistan accepts the strikes from India, because these were legitimate, justifiable strikes from India. India has not hit any military targets or civilian population. Our target has been the terror infrastructure in Pakistan. But knowing Pakistan very well, it will treat this as an act of war. It is likely to mount a military response, and India is fully prepared. India's air defense is on high alert. Indian Air Force has been flying combat air patrols. The Indian Navy is on high alert in the Arabian Sea as well. There are possible reports suggesting that India might consider a sort of a naval blockade to further impose an economic cost. Because this response from India is not just a one-off response, as I told you. India would continue its coercive diplomacy. We will continue using platforms like UN and FATF to sanction Pakistani-based terrorists, to ensure that Pakistan's terror financing network is brought under international sanctions. India has already briefed world leaders and global capitals on India's response, and we expect global support as well in India's favor to bring pressure on Pakistan and to isolate Pakistan completely. So apart from the course of diplomatic options and the current military strikes that we have seen, we can even expect some sort of covert action in the long sustained run in order to target the terror leadership and the terror facilities and infrastructure in Pakistan. India has already taken some very strict action with regard to Indus Water Treaty ever since we kept the treaty in abeyance. In the last 2 to 3 days, India has started flushing the important dams, including Baglihar, Salal on the Chenab River, which has essentially reduced the water flow into Pakistan. This could affect Pakistan's agriculture, especially the Kharif sowing season, further delivering an economic hit. So India is launching a multi-frontal war, and it may not end with this one strike. Today we have hit 9 terror launch pads and terror camps, but these actions from India might continue, and it is highly recommended and suggested that we sustain such action in combination with coercive diplomacy and covert operations aimed at dismantling Pakistan's sponsorship of terrorism. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think India's response is enough? Should we stop at these strikes that we have done today, or should India continue a more sustained, prolonged operation, including all the 3 options that are available? The diplomatic option, to exercise coercive pressure, international pressure, and isolate the country. The hard military option, to keep striking legitimate terror targets. And the covert option, to hit the links between the Pakistani state and the terror actors who are present in the country. So let's wait for the briefing from the government of India. The Defense Ministry in few hours will conduct an official briefing. We'll have a clear picture regarding the exact method of the operation, what exact targets were chosen, and what does India plan to do in the next coming days. So let's wait for the update, and I'll bring you a more detailed video after that. We will continue analyzing and tracking these developments. So as I said, as we are recording and discussing this, I'm still going through the upcoming reports, especially on X and other social media platforms. A lot of videos are coming up showing the explosions in Pakistan, especially the possible missile strike at Bahawalpur. There are reports coming in of increased military activity on the Pakistani side. So let's wait and watch what happens. Let's wait for a few more hours. Let's get some official statements from India and Pakistan, and then we'll discuss this topic in further detail. So I hope you guys are very clear on what has happened. Do press the like button if you understood everything, and don't forget to comment your views, your opinions, because that matters a lot. So that is it for now. I'll see you very soon with more videos and more analysis on this hot developing story between India and Pakistan. Thanks for watching.